UFC Vegas 93 has just wrapped up. Taira versus Perez. Contender for worst card of the year? I don't even think it's a contender. I think that is the worst card of the year. That was the most boring card I've watched in recent memory, and I've watched many cards in the past 5 years or so. But it was a card. We got some fun fights. I think the best fight was definitely the Brady Highstand versus Garrett Armfield fight. But yeah, predictions horrible this week. The worst I've done this year by far. But the breakdowns were almost perfect on every single fight, and I'll get to that as we talk about each individual one. But I was really proud of those breakdowns because I highlighted everything that was discussed in the fights, and it came to fruition for most of them. I just got the end prediction wrong, which we'll work on. But we're sitting at still at a 63% pick rate, which is extremely good for UFC because I believe the highest person's pick rate this year is around 68. So we're just underneath them, and we have these weeks, but we're going to come back from them. So let's start off with Josephine Knutson versus Julia Pilastri. And me personally, I picked Pilastri, and I think it was a bit of robbery. Knutson had the better striking, and it was clearly evident from the get-go. She was a clean striker. She did well defensively as well. Pilastri did well with the takedowns, and Knutson controlled round one, but then Pilastri got Knutson down at the end of the round for about 45 seconds and was raining ground and pound strikes in top mount. If there's another 30 seconds to that fight, she would have gotten that finish. And that was the most damaging part of that round. So personally, I would have given that to Pilastri. Second round, Pilastri definitely won it. She took her down. She dominated from top position, and it was the clearest round of them all. Round three, it goes on the feet for about 2 minutes, and it's back and forth, and probably Knutson's winning those exchanges. But then Pilastri gets a takedown, does some decent ground and pound, and then gets her in the closest finishing sequence of the fight. She gets her in a tight arm triangle, which nearly finishes it, but Knutson bucks out of it and gets Pilastri on the floor for the last 30 seconds, but does 0 damage. I don't know how that last round doesn't go to Pilastri either. So I thought it was definitely a 29-28 for Pilastri, if not a 30-27. But Knutson, we know what we got to start thinking about career trajectory, and I talked about it in my last breakdown, but the UFC know that Knutson is a comes out girl, and she's the undefeated fighter. She is marketable, and they probably wanted her to win that one. But yeah, it was a close fight, don't get me wrong, and Knutson was definitely the better person on the feet, but I thought Pilastri won that, so we get that incorrect, but it was definitely way too wide of odds, and yeah, I was correct on that breakdown there. Malcazell Costa versus Shailin Becky. I got this one spot on. I said Costa would finish Shailin in the later rounds. And what does he do? He finishes him in the later rounds. Shailin got the takedowns in the first round, but what did I say in my breakdown? I said he has no damaging aspects to the takedowns, so he doesn't damage his opponents with ground strikes, and he doesn't do submissions. So if opponents can survive or like just not get tired, they'll have a chance of beating this man. And what did Costa do? He stayed composed, and I said he had good counter grappling from the Moises fight that he showed us, and he just choked out Shailin and survived after the first round. It was really simple as that. Not much striking. It was more so just a grappling match where Costa had the better danger in those positions, the better submissions, and Shailin had the strength, but Costa shone through and got us that W. All right, Weston Wilson versus Jekka Saragi. I'm sorry about this one. I really apologize for this one. I did say, I want to cover myself a little bit. I did say Jekka is horrible on the ground. I think most people know that. I also said to play fight doesn't go decision over the Jekka Saragi money line because they'll be similar to Juice, like the same odds, because I just don't trust this man on the floor. And what happens? He has the dumbest fight IQ I've ever seen in my life. Weston Wilson's only shot was to win this on the ground. And what does Jekka Saragi do? He rushes in there like a madman, gives Weston Wilson every opportunity to take him down, does so, but then Jekka does it right. He scrambles out of it. He's able to stand, and he either can back out of the guard of Wilson or try and throw some strikes. And what does he do? He throws some strikes. Wilson locks in the triangle, and Jekka gets submitted. And that's what he deserves, because Jekka played the game silly, and Weston Wilson played to his strengths. So good W for Wilson. I don't know if it saves his career. I highly doubt it. He's 35 years old. I mean, but still, good victory for him. Gabriela Fernandez versus Kylie Judice. I did say that Gabriela Fernandez would win that, and she did. And I said that she would have the more damaging shots. She did. So perfect breakdown for this one as well. Kylie Judice well, had the volume and had the cardio, but Gabriel Fernandez won the first 2 rounds by visibly pushing back Carly Judice with the strikes that she threw, and was kind of snapping the head back of Carly Judice every time she threw a flush shot. Judice came back in the third round, and put it on Gabriella, but she stood tall and she survived the onslaught, and even threw some strikes back of her own. But yeah, Fernandez was definitely the closer fighter to finishing this fight. And I think she rightfully deserved that victory, 29-28, but it was a close fight. Nate Maness versus Jimmy Flick. Now, I think this was a showcase fight for Nate Maness, and he absolutely screwed it up. He made it a sparring match and an absolute boring one at it. You don't need to be that careful with Jimmy Flick. Yes, you need to be careful with the ground game, but Charles Johnson, Costa showed exactly how the blueprint of how to beat Jimmy, and it was there all day. Those leg kicks were there all day, and Jimmy was getting hurt by them, even from the few amount that Maness threw. Jimmy Flick did better. I think Jimmy Flick's stock, even though he lost and he's probably out of the UFC now, rose after this fight more than Nate Maness's did. I said Maness would have composure from the Mendonça fight, which he showed, in the Mendonça fight, which he did, but he showed too much composure. He was just lackadaisical, boring, like absolute, just a snooze fest. And he won it by decision, which he shouldn't have. He should have won that by KO. And he nearly got finished like twice as well. I mean, geez, correct prediction. But Maness really blew that for himself in terms of getting like a showcase finish. All right, the worst fight in the card: Adam Fuger versus Josh Quinlan. Oh man. Okay, first of all, I want to get a few things clear. Josh Quinlan won that fight 29-28, clear as day. Okay, he won the first 2 rounds because he was actually doing damaging shots. Secondly, Josh Quinlan sucks. Fuger sucks. Thirdly, I don't know what's wrong with these fighters and how they can't adjust to each other. Fuger was throwing, the only thing he threw the whole fight was head kicks that were either missing or touching the guard of Quinlan. What was Quinlan throwing? Sorry guys about that. What was Quinlan throwing? A stutter step left hook. A stutter step left hook. Like it was like a modified Superman punch, but he threw the left hook, and it would either hit Fuger on the guard or sometimes get through. But man, he just could not adapt, and neither could Fuger, and both deserved to lose that fight. But yeah, Quinlan should have won that one, but it sucked. That was a snoozer fight. I think both should just get cut after that one, to be honest, because where do they go in the division from there? Like, what is the UFC going to do with them? They just, oh man, that really was tough to watch. And they gave it to Fuger as well. Like, what? Why? How can you win a fight over throwing head kicks to a guard and in the air? Like, come on. I think Fuger's corner did him justice there with the oohs and ahs and the yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Asu Amabayev versus Jose Johnson. I said Asu Amabayev would win this by decision or submission, and what does he do? He wins it by decision and dominantly. Jose Johnson, credible to him. He stayed alive. I think Asu just found it hard to finish Jose Johnson because Jose was just so long with his arms and his reach that he could kind of pry away the arms of Asu. But Jose Johnson deserved to lose this fight. No one should be 6 foot tall. I'm shorter than that, and I couldn't imagine being 125 pounds. No one should be that height and cutting down this much. There should be a cap to that because that's just a blatant weight bully there. And shame on you, Jose Johnson, and shame on you, Nate Maness. You guys should not be that tall when fighting in these small divisions. Just back your skill set if you really think you're going to get to the top. But yeah, Asu won this one by the way he always wins, which is wrestling, control, and submission attempts. He nearly finished it a few times, but he showed that he's a very capable wrestler, and he had a tough test. I think this was one of the harder tests for him because Jose Johnson was just so tall. It was crazy. It looked like 3 different divisions apart. But yeah, Asu Amabayev gets a decision win, and another dub on the board. All right, I'm proud of this one. Brady Highstand versus Garrett Armfield. Now, I'm not stupid. I picked Garrett Armfield to win this one. But look at my breakdown and listen to my breakdown or read it. I post my breakdowns on Twitter and on YouTube. So you can either hear it or you can read it, whatever you choose. I said Garrett Armfield is going to win this one by knocking down Brady Highstand because Brady Highstand gets hurt in every single fight. What happens? He's on his way to a victory because Brady Highstand is getting hurt from the punches. But what I also say in my breakdown, I said Garrett Armfield has a very bad habit of going to his knees from takedowns, and Brady Highstand loves the back control and taking a body triangle on his opponent. I said, don't be surprised if Brady Highstand gets a submission here because Garrett Armfield shows his back. And what does he do? Brady Highstand weathers the storm in the first round, which I also noted. I said if it goes out of the first round, this is going to be a very, very, very close fight. So he weathers the storm in the first round, weathers the storm in the second round, really, and beats up Garrett Armfield on the floor and gets a submission. It's not like Brady Highstand wasn't in the fight the whole time. He got like a deep rear naked choke in like the first or second round, which he should have finished. I don't know how he didn't, but yeah, anyway. But you know, he was probably losing that fight, and he came back and won in the third round. So the breakdown was perfect, but the prediction was wrong. So if we go through all these fights, let's go through what I got, the predictions, and what I said the breakdown. So the Knudsen versus Piastri, prediction wrong, but I say the breakdown is correct. Costa, prediction right, breakdown right. Wilson versus Jekka, prediction wrong, but breakdown, I'm going to give that one wrong, okay? I stuffed up on that one. Gabriel Fernandez versus Carly Giudice, breakdown and prediction perfect. Nate Maness versus Flick, I said, yeah, I'll give prediction and breakdown perfect. Fugit versus Quinlan, prediction wrong, even though Quinlan should have won that. And Fugit, and breakdown was basically correct as well. I said that Fugit was slow as hell, and he is. Asam Abayo versus Jose Johnson, prediction correct, breakdown correct. Highstand versus Armfield, prediction wrong, breakdown correct. So literally in all these fights, my breakdown was basically spot on. This one, not so much. Lucas Almeida versus Timothy Kwamba. Almeida just had the more powerful shots in this fight. It was 29-28 because Kwamba finally used his wrestling in the third round, which was just crazy. That he didn't use it in the fight in the rounds prior to that because that was his best path to victory. But anyway, Almeida just landed the heavier shots in the first two rounds and dropped Kwamba, and that won in the first two rounds. And then Kwamba finally got the takedown in the third and ground and pounded Almeida to get him that round. But evidently it was 29-28. Pretty boring fight. You know, I said that Kwamba has more tools and that Almeida's been looking bad. I don't think Almeida necessarily looked good. I just think he landed the more impactful strikes and Kwamba couldn't take the strikes. I thought Timothy Kwamba was actually the better technical striker of the two. He was landing flush and clean, but Almeida, every time he landed, he was hurting Kwamba. And yeah, but I think Kwamba's young. He'll learn from that, and I definitely think he has a high ceiling at this point. But yeah, prediction and breakdown, I guess you can say I was wrong on that one. Miles Johns versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. Who thought Miles Johns was going to stand up Silva de Andrade the whole fight? Not me. What I should have been aware of is that Andrade, and I said it, but I didn't take into account. I think Andrade showed his age, okay? I think he showed that he was 39 years old now because he was just reacting really weird to the strikes. Now, what did I say? I also said that Miles Johns gasses. What happened? He nearly gets finished in the third round because he gassed from it was such a low level output fight, and he still gassed. Someone's going to finish this man in the future, and he's going to have a big price tag next to his name, and I'm going to capitalize on that. I'm telling you. But I thought the first round was close. I think you could have given it to Andrade if you wanted to, but okay, Miles Johns got it. Miles Johns definitely got the second round, and the third round, guys. Oh man, I'm going to give a tip out there to all the fighters. Okay, if you get hurt, just lose your mouthpiece, because you know what will happen? The referee will stop it when you're hurt, and he'll pop in the mouthpiece and allow you to get your consciousness back and regain your composure. Because that's exactly what happened to Miles Johns. Silva Andrade hits him with like a nice knee. His mouthpiece gets rocked right out. Miles Johns, you can see he's moving back, he's stumbling back. And what does the referee do? He stops it while Andrade is stalking Miles Johns and about to land some strikes to put Miles Johns' mouthpiece back in. Couldn't believe it. It was like 10 seconds after it happened. Not even 5 seconds after his mouthpiece came out. I mean, what are you doing? That maybe cost Andrade a finish there. I don't know. Who knows? But, you know, 29-28 to Miles Johns. I don't think he won that any way or shape or form as a 30-27. But yeah, okay. Miles Johns wins that 29-28. Whatever. All right. Last fight. Tatsuro Taira versus Alex Perez. I bet on, well, I didn't bet, but I placed a prediction on Perez, and he was looking the goods. He won round one. He was looking really good. He was showing in some really nice in-tight boxing, and Taira was skillful as well. He was showing some long-range strikes and some real good grappling in that second round. I think Perez was landing some really nice calf kicks that would have taken effect on Taira in the later rounds. But, you know, Taira shot in for that takedown in the second and secured it perfect. And guys, I didn't think Taira would secure or like be able to get such a dominant position on Perez like that. Because I thought I was comparing it to Mikhaev because Mikhaev I thought was a better wrestler, but I think Taira's the hidden gem of the division. I think he smokes Mikhaev now. He's got the striking and he's got the grappling to match. Perez, unfortunate. I think that's his career over, done. Which is sad because he either blew out his knee, his ACL, MCL, something like that, or it popped out. Best case scenario is it popped out, but I don't think that's what happened because it swelled up straight away. But yeah, Taira did this awesome. It was beautiful. He grabbed his back and then like leaned to the side and like made Perez put all his weight onto the hook, onto the leg that Taira was hooking. It was like Taira was like hooking Perez's leg while he was on his back and like made him lean back, and it was a beautiful. Like if it was purposeful, it was incredible what Taira just did. But yeah, look, I think Perez. I don't know if he would have won the fight, but he definitely won the first round and was looking good in that fight, which sucks because I had predicted Perez. But Taira hopefully gets a top 5, or I don't know what Perez was ranked just then, but yeah, hopefully he can get a good fight. Maybe Mikhaev, match him up with Mikhaev. I think one of them has to lose their O, and I'm hoping Taira wins that because I think he's a much more fun fighter than Mikhaev. But that is UFC Vegas 93 wrapped up. Guys, I don't know what the UFC is doing. They got to get rid of these Apex cards. They really are horrible. And lucky we got UFC Saudi Arabia up next week, even though it's at like 2 a.m. for me. Still, I'll take that any day of the week compared to cards like this. Not because necessarily the name value. I just think the crowd plays such an impact, or makes such an impact on the performances of these fighters, because they just feel so. Like, imagine you're just sparring in your gym. That's what it would probably feel like for these fighters. Yeah, it's just not on. And these new gloves, since they've implemented these new gloves, they've had like 4 knockouts. And all I noticed from them is that there's more eye pokes, and that the fighters are getting like these weird scratches on their eyes. I noticed in like several fights today. I don't know, these new gloves are not it. Change them back, or just penalize fighters for sticking out their fingers, which they shouldn't be doing. Other than that, yeah, I had a bad week. I'll openly admit it. But like I said before, we're at like a 63% pick rate, which is pretty incredible for UFC especially. And you know, we're right at the top MMA cappers for picking on our percentage. Yeah, other than that, I guess that is it. Starting tape for UFC Saudi Arabia. I already have started. It's annoying because a few fights have already dropped off, like the Basharat fight, but we'll hopefully get a replacement there soon. Other than that, I guess enjoy your week, get some rest, and we'll catch you next week. Ciao.